we're going to start this list with an unlikely suspect, particularly coming from me because I'm such a big fan of it in general. And that's education, specifically college education. You know, too much of a good thing is often a bad thing. And I think that's what happens with college education, specifically when people spend a lot of money in order to learn a skill that's not going to pay that much, right? If you're going to college to be a computer scientist, you know, there's a lot of demand for that. Who knows what AI is going to do? But, you know, in general, you're going to get a really well-paying job, probably put you in the top, certainly 20% of American society. But if you're going to college for something that's not going to pay well, you really have to ask yourself, how much do you want to invest in it? Now, if you have a passion in something that's not going to pay well, you know, go for it. There's nothing wrong with having a job that doesn't pay much, but that you're passionate about. But to spend $100,000 or $200,000 to get the education to do that, that's a tough trade-off. You really have to look at, you know, what percent of your income you're going to be stuck paying in order to pay off the student loans that you may or may not have to take. So that's suspect number one. I know it's a little controversial. I'm a big fan of lifelong learning, but just keep in mind how much money you're going to have to spend in order to get the education, and then how much money you're going to make. And I think those are the types of trade-offs that you need to make so that you're not in deep debt as you start your career. All right, let's go for a walk and let's talk about some of these others. The second item that I want to talk about, and really these are in reverse order. So this is number 6. And number 6 is lifestyle creep. You know, it's super easy when you start making more money to say, well, now I'm making more money, I can afford things. And, you know, it'd be easy after you graduate trade school or college, you know, you're living on probably not that much, right? You might have been in your parents' basement. I've done that. I chuckle because I've been there. And boy, to, you know, have a 2-bedroom apartment where you have a roommate would have been a step up. But after you've been working, you know, if you come out of college and you're like, oh, now I can afford to buy a new car and I can afford to buy a house, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a lot of debt, that can happen very quickly. So lifestyle creep, I just encourage you to be cautious on that. It's not unusual. You know, they say that over half of Americans making more than $100,000 a year don't save a dime. So, and why is that? I think it's largely because of lifestyle creep. Okay, the next one, what would that be? Number 5 is not investing. I think as Americans, we've been taught well that, you know, we have to save. Now, some of us are doing that, some of us are not. But, you know, the second part of that doesn't get talked about enough. And that is, it's not enough to just save your money. You also have to invest it, right? And the reason is, particularly for young people, they have a lot of time to help themselves and let that money grow. And compounding, Einstein said, was the 8th wonder of the world, and I agree with him on that. And the classic example is Warren Buffett. When Warren Buffett was my age, you know, he's one of the richest guys in the world now. He probably was when he was my age too. But when he was my age, he was only worth $2 billion. Poor Warren, I'm sure life was hard. And he's a very humble guy. So, you know, I just say that out of respect. But, you know, Warren Buffett now at 92 is worth over $100 billion. And he'd be the first to tell you that's because of compounding. But, you know, compounding cuts both ways. And that leads into our next item, which is number 4, which is carrying loans that have high interest rates. And typically, the number one culprit there is credit card debt, 20+% often with credit card debt. And that's compounding and working against you. So compounding might be the 8th wonder of the world, but it should be enemy number 1 if you're carrying expensive debt. And it tends to be credit cards, and another one that tends to be expensive can be car loans, depending on what your credit worthiness is. Okay, let's keep going. Moving on to number 3. Before I get there, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. It really does help grow the channel. Okay, number 3, ironically, is again, holding middle-class people down and making it hard for them to break out is all of these get-rich-quick schemes. You know, it can be hard, right? It's a lot more fun to watch the Daytona 500 race than it is to go outside and watch the grass on your lawn grow. But when it comes to investing, when it comes to your financial situation, slow and steady wins the race. Now, there's exceptions, right? There's the one person that we all know that invested in crypto and did really, really well, and they're a crypto millionaire. But those are the exceptions, not the rule. And it tends to be the millionaire next door that did the basic blocking and tackling. You know, spending less than what they earn, investing it wisely. I would argue driving a used car instead of a new car. Looking at buying and investing in assets that appreciate as opposed to spending money on assets that depreciate. Too many clothes. Buying a new car, you know, we all know that the value of the car drops right away. So, you know, just the basic blocking and tackling of the everyday millionaire next door. I do want to share that none of this is financial advice, right? These are just some things for you to think about and research yourself and incorporate the things that work for you and disregard the things that don't. But do your own research. I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. Okay, let's keep going here. So I was talking about watching the grass grow. And the next one, number 2, again, is just the basic blocking and tackling that we talked about with the millionaire next door. You know, it's over 80% of the millionaires in the United States did not come from wealthy families. They got there by just doing the basics right. And I think we can all benefit from doing that. I also want to share that one of the biggest challenges for everybody is just trying to impress people. You know, there's needs, there's wants, and then I think the worst category is actually the third category, which is not a need, not a want, right? Your needs are lodging and food on the table and paying the utility bill, you know, just the basics. And I've been fortunate enough to travel and spend time with people that's all they have is enough to cover the needs. And in fact, I've been with families, frankly, that are very, very generous, but they don't even have enough to cover their needs. In many cultures around the world, it's not unusual for 3 generations. So you've got the kids, you've got the parents, and then you've got the grandparents, all living under one roof in very tight quarters. But, you know, they make it work because they're focused on what's important, which is just, you know, surviving as a unit in the tightness of the family. That would be hard in the U.S. That would be hard, frankly, for me to do. But, you know, you've got your needs, you've got your wants, and then you have the things that, you know, people buy to impress. And I'm guilty. In a previous video, when I was in college, believe it or not, I drove a sports car. Now, it was a used sports car. It had been in an accident and I fixed it up, but it was still a sports car. And truth be told, I did that to impress other people. Right now, I did have a lot of fun driving that sports car in college, but I bought it for the wrong reasons. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I know you're going to enjoy this video up here that talks about average income in retirement, and this video down here that talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.